At the end of Knights of the Old Republic 2, Darth Traya stands on Millicurvey and delivers her final prophecy. She does not beg, she does not bargain, she tells the exile exactly what is coming, and then she dies or is supposed to. But what if she didn't? What if the exile failed? What if Traya's plan, the most philosophically ambitious scheme in Star Wars history, actually succeeded? This is not a story about conquest. Darth Traya did not want an empire, she wanted to destroy the Force itself, and she almost did it once before. She was a Jedi Master who cut herself off from the Force completely and survived. That alone makes her unlike anyone else in the galaxy. To understand what Traya winning means, you have to understand what she believed. The Force, in her view, is not a gift, it is a parasite. It uses living beings as instruments for its own ends. The eternal cycle of light side and dark side, Jedi and Sith, war and peace, none of it is chosen. All of it is the Force perpetuating itself. Every hero the Force produces is a puppet. Every villain it creates is a puppet. The tragedy of the galaxy is not that evil exists, it is that nothing that happens is truly the result of free will. The Force decides, people merely act out its decisions. Traya spent decades arriving at this conclusion. She was Revan's first master. She watched him fall, then return, then fall again, and she understood that the cycle had no end. The Force would always create another Revan, another Malak, another war. The plan was Millicurvey itself. The planet was awound in the Force, a place where so many Force-sensitive beings died simultaneously that the Force was permanently damaged there. Traya wanted to use the mass shadow generator again, but on a galactic scale. The exile was her instrument, a being who had severed their connection to the Force at Millicur and survived not because they were strong, but because they were empty, awound in the living Force. Wherever the exile went, Force-sensitive beings near them began to lose their connection. Traya's plan was to send the exile through the galaxy as a living void, teaching them, training them, having them touch as many Force-sensitive beings as possible until the wound spread too wide to heal. Then use the mass shadow generator at Millicur to sever the Force entirely. In this timeline, the exile reaches Millicurvey but does not defeat Traya. Perhaps Traya's 3 lightsabers are too much. Perhaps the exile hesitates because Traya has spent the entire game teaching them, and in this moment, they cannot fully believe their teacher is wrong. Traya does not kill the exile. She never wanted to. She kneels before them and says the same words she says even if you defeat her, that the exile was always her greatest student. And then she activates Millicur's core. The mass shadow generator fires, but this time Traya is there to direct it, not to destroy the planet, to use it as a lens focusing the Force wound at Millicur into a beam that reaches across hyperspace routes, following the trails the exile left behind. The first sign is silence. Force-sensitive beings across the galaxy describe the same thing, a moment where the Force simply is not there, like reaching for something that has always been in your hand and finding your hand is empty. The Jedi on Coruscant feel at first. Masters in meditation find nothing when they reach inward. Padawans training in the temple suddenly cannot lift a stone or sense their partner's emotions. The Force, which had been as natural as breathing, stops within 72 hours. Every Jedi in the galaxy has lost their connection. Within a week, the Sith are gone too. Every being that drew power from the Force, every Force ghost, every Sith spirit clinging to existence through dark side energy dissolves. This is where Traya's plan diverges from what every Sith before her wanted. The Empire does not expand. The Sith do not rule. The galaxy is simply free. For the first time in thousands of years, no one is secretly manipulating galactic events toward a predetermined outcome. Wars still happen, politics still happen, greed and ambition and cruelty still happen, but they happen because people choose them, not because the Force is running a script. The Mandalorian Wars happened because the Force needed a Revan. This new galaxy has no Revans because there is no Force to produce them. The Republic restructures. Without Jedi generals, without Force-guided diplomacy, the Senate becomes what it was always supposed to be, a body that actually has to negotiate, compromise, and persuade. It is slower and messier than before. It is also more genuine. Traya succeeded in the literal sense of her plan, but here is the irony she herself predicted. The galaxy does not become the utopia she theorized. It becomes something stranger, something she might have considered a kind of crude, imperfect beauty. Without the Force pulling strings, civilizations have to develop their own institutions, their own wisdom traditions. Philosophers rise where Jedi once stood. Soldiers who fight because they believe in something, not because the Force pointed them at a battlefield. The Mandalorians, who never relied on the Force, adapt first. Their culture, already built around skill and choice and clan loyalty, becomes a model others look to. The irony is deep. The galaxy without the Force starts to look Mandalorian. Darth Nihilus and Darth Sin do not survive the loss of the Force. Nihilus was the Force-wound made flesh, a being who existed only as a hunger that the Force sustained. Without the Force, there is nothing to sustain him. He does not fade, he simply stops. Sin is held together by pain and the dark side. The dark side is gone. His body, which could not die because the Force refused to let go of his agony, finally lets go. He dies the death he always deserved, in peace, or as close to it as he ever came. Traya herself does not long outlive her victory. She is very old, and she was sustained by the Force even as she claimed to oppose it. Without it, her body fails within months. She spends that time on Millicor, alone, watching the planet finally go quiet. The exile survives. Of all the Force-sensitive beings in the galaxy, they are most prepared for a universe without the Force. They already lived it once, on the battlefield at Millicor the first time, when they cut themselves off and kept walking. The exiles' companions, the ones they gathered across the game, the broken people Kreia said were wounds in the Force they survived to, because they were already familiar with emptiness. They had built themselves around something other than the Force, each other, mostly. The exile becomes something unprecedented. The last person in the galaxy who remembers what the Force felt like, and who also knows how to live without it. They do not become a prophet or a ruler. They become a teacher of a different kind, showing others how to find meaning in a galaxy that no longer has a script. 5 centuries after Millicor, historians debate whether the Force-wound was a catastrophe or a liberation. The answer depends on what you value. Fewer wars of cosmic significance, no Dark Lords reshaping galactic history, but also no Jedi healers, no Force visions guiding lost explorers home. Technology advances faster without Force users monopolizing certain roles. Medicine improves, navigation improves. The galaxy, without the Force smoothing or disrupting its development, follows a more ordinary arc, the arc of civilizations that have to figure things out by trial and error. The Sith Empire never rises again. There is no Darth Bane to create the rule of two. There is no Emperor Palpatine waiting in the shadows, cultivating patience across decades. The dark side story that defines the Skywalker saga simply never happens. This is the question Traya herself never fully resolved. She believed the Force was a wound. She believed sentient beings deserved to choose their own fate. She may have been correct about both things, and the galaxy she created may still be worse than the one she destroyed, because the Force, for all its manipulation, also produced love, produced sacrifice, produced the kind of heroism that emerges specifically because someone feels more than they should, feels the suffering of strangers as their own, and acts on it. Without the Force, those moments become rarer. The galaxy without the Force has no Darth Vader choosing his son over the Emperor. It has no Luke Skywalker throwing away his lightsaber and believing in something that logic says is already lost. It has competence and survival and measured progress. It has less transcendence. Darth Traya's deepest irony is this: she was the most honest character in KOTOR 2. She was right about almost everything she said. The Force does use people. The cycle does repeat. The Jedi were failing long before the Sith destroyed them. But being right about the problem does not make her solution correct. and she knew this. She told the exile at the end that she did not know if what she was doing was wisdom or the greatest betrayal in the history of the galaxy. She did it anyway, because she had run out of better answers. That is what makes her the most tragic villain in Star Wars. Not that she was wrong, but that she was right in her diagnosis, desperate in her cure, and honest about her uncertainty. She walked into her own ending with open eyes. Was Darth Traya the most dangerous villain in Star Wars or its most misunderstood philosopher? Leave your answer below, and subscribe for more KOTOR lore.